Hi YouTube, my name is Danica and today I'm going to talk about a couple of picture books. So as I've mentioned in some other videos, I work in a bookstore and I run the kids section, and I realized lately that I'm always recommending the same kind of books and they tend to be sort of the bestseller variety that's already popular, and one of my goals this year is to recommend more diverse kids books, especially for picture books and younger kids, because I have a better idea of diverse teen books, but not really picture books. So what I did was take out a couple of picture books from the library so that I could look through them and see if there's something that I would like to order into the store and start recommending to people. So today I want to talk about a couple of these picture books that I took out, and they are native picture books featuring nations of the Northwest Coast, which is where I live. So the first book I took out was Sharing Our World, Animals of the Northwest Coast. And with these books I tried to concentrate on the ones that I thought had the most engaging art. I figured that would be the easiest way to recommend them to people, is if they're just really visually stunning. And this book, I really love the design. You can tell by the title there's sort of like a pastel-y theme throughout it. They have these really bright colors, and it has that same sort of color scheme throughout the whole book, and I think that's really great. I also love the end papers are really bright and colorful. I would say this is probably aimed at about 3 to 5-year-olds. There is a bit of text on each page, so a little bit of, not a story, but you know, some detail to it. It's not just bird, whale. And there's a little bit of an introduction in the beginning that talks about how totems relate to different animals, but the end of the book doesn't really have any conclusion. It just sort of drops off, which was a little bit weird. This book has to do with respecting animals. It talks about keeping our water clean for salmon, and it also just talks about how different animals reflect different values and how those values are something that we should keep in mind in our own lives. So this book kind of blends together different nations of Northwest Coast. In the back sort of end flap, it says which artist from which nation did the different animals, but in the book itself they all sort of are blended together, and I can understand why they did that for the sake of a broader audience, but it does sort of erase the differences between the nations, and it is all in English. But I can definitely understand why they would do that, and it's a good basic book if you wanted to introduce some diversity into a kid's library. And it also says on the back that partial proceeds from this publication support Aboriginal early childhood development. So I really liked this book, but I don't think this is one I could likely just give a random customer because it's very specific, and if someone comes in just looking for any picture book, it's unlikely that they're going to pick this one up. Maybe I'm a little bit cynical, but I definitely liked this one, especially the design of this book. So the other two books I picked up are both by Paul Owen Lewis. There's Storm Boy and Frog Girl. And again, I picked them up mostly because of the artwork. I really love the art style. I think it's really bright and interesting. These ones I think are aimed at a little bit of an older audience, like probably closer to 4 or 5. They've got an actual story to them, and there's more text on each page. It's still pretty short, but there is more of a story, so you need to be at an age where kids can sit still for a little while. And these books were probably my top books I was thinking of ordering in, except that while I was reading it I started to get kind of a sinking feeling, and I looked up Paul Owen Lewis, and he is actually not a native artist, and apparently he consulted with another art historian who is also white, and at least one other white collaborator on these books. And this isn't a native story, it is just kind of inspired by Northwest Coast stories. And in the back there's some details of different Northwest Coast motifs, and it refers to the cosmology of Northwest Coast people in the past tense, as if it's not something that's still around. Part of the reason that I want to recommend native picture books and diverse picture books is to help promote Native artists and people of color writers, and not really just a story that was inspired by Native people. So I don't think this is going to be one I recommend, which is sad because I was pretty excited about it. But I'm going to keep looking, and this is probably going to be an ongoing series on my channel. I don't know if anyone else is interested in that, but I am. There's a box of books that I put on hold at my library, which is a collection of different Native picture books. So I'm still waiting on that to come in. It is taking forever, but that's fine. And I'll probably do another video about those, and hopefully I can find one that I really fall in love with and want to recommend to everyone. Let me know if there's any diverse picture books that you really like, whether they're about or by people of color or Native people or people with disabilities, queer people, anything that adds some diversity. Thanks for watching. Bye!